Hi guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, just real quick before we do anything, if you're looking at buying property in Italy, you need our online course. Please go sign up for it. It's going to save you a lot of stress and really get you set up to where you know what you're doing. The details are down below. So now I want to talk to you about why you may not be able to afford a €1 Italian house. Now that sounds like a no-brainer, like everybody has a euro, right? Or you can get one. But there's a lot behind the scenes that you need to know about that can really make it unaffordable for you to actually buy and renovate one of these houses. First off, the cost of the sale. Now, when you buy a house in Italy, you're going to pay tax on the purchase. Most of the time, if it is a second home or a vacation home, you're going to pay 9% on the cadastral value of the house, not the market value. That's two very different things. The cadastral value is the value assigned to the property on which your taxes are based. And it may be very different, usually is very different than the market value. So you won't be paying 9% on €1, you'll be paying 9% on something else. Now, in addition to that, you have the notaio. Every transaction in Italy must go through a notaio who makes sure it's all in alignment with Italian law, and his fee here in our area is about €1,200. So that's that. Now, in addition, there's other ancillary fees, which are recording costs, stamp costs, etc., which may add up to around 500 to €1,000 as well, depending. That's just a ballpark figure. But already we're into it for a couple €3,000 and your €1 that you pay. In addition to that, the renovations are a cost. You have to pay a geometra, architect, or engineer to be the person overseeing the project. Then you have to pay probably for water, because it may or may not have water and the plumbing is probably not good. Electrics, it may or may not have electrics and the electricity is probably not good. You probably have to get the roofs done and the ceilings and floors done, and may or may not have to restructure some walls. You might have to do some stuff on the foundation. Who knows? These houses are pretty trashed, I'll be honest with you. That's why they're €1. Now, in addition to that, these houses in the historic center are up against each other, and they depend on each other for structural support. So you may end up restoring part of your neighbor's property just so that your property is secure. Now, another thing to think about is if you're buying a vacation home and you're intending to rent it out as a short-term rental on Airbnb or one of these other places, many times it's very difficult to rent out in the towns that have €1 houses, and the reasons are many. The reasons that it's hard to rent out are also the reasons why they're selling the houses for €1. Number one, they can be pretty inaccessible. And I know we've had a lot of clients come over and talk about the roads. Oh, getting to Santa Domenica is very scary. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you try getting to some of these inaccessible little hill towns. We were in Buonvicino the other day, and the road up there is thin, but it's a good road. But we took a wrong turn and ended up down one of these other roads, and it was a little bit harrowing. In addition, when I went out the back of Papasidro, I had to go up this insanely scary road to get to this farmhouse up there. So there are accessibility issues. There's usually not train service. Any bus service may or may not be spotty and erratic. Who knows? But the bottom line is, if they were more accessible, they probably would be easier to rent out, and they probably wouldn't have €1 Italian houses. Now, another thing you have to look at is you're going to have to pay a translator, because in these areas, they usually don't speak English. It would probably be pretty rare to find an architect, geometra, or engineer who will manage your project and speaks English. So you're going to have to pay a translator to go back and forth. You may or may not have to pay a middleman there to kind of see the project and update you on pictures and things like that. In addition, you're going to have to fly over every so often and make sure the renovations are on track and answer any questions and whatnot that you have. There are a million little details in a renovation. Now, if you're not super picky and you're okay with them choosing your doors or choosing your tiles or whatever, that's probably not a big issue. You can do it from afar and probably end up with a pretty decent thing. But if you're picky, you're going to be over here a lot. I'll just say that, because you can't expect somebody to read your mind. So you're going to have to pay for a rental car, you're going to have to pay for accommodations and food and everything else while the renovation is happening. So those are just a few of the costs that you're going to have to look at incurring. And right now, I mean, you could be into it for thousands and thousands of euros before you even broke ground on your project. So that's something to think about. These are not just €1 Italian houses. Well, one time I asked Antonello, hey, how come we don't have any €1 Italian houses here in Santa Domenica? And he said, we don't need them. We have the sea, we have the mountains, we have a beautiful, beautiful town. People want to come here. And I said, you know what, you're right. And he was right. Most of the properties here that were relatively affordable with just cosmetic fixes have been sold, which goes to prove that all Santa Dominica needed was a little bit of marketing and it would just take off. Now, hopefully that doesn't discourage you from coming here, because there are other hill towns here and beautiful, beautiful areas. Now, what can you do instead? Well, here in Santa Dominica, a lot of the houses that just need cosmetic repairs have been sold. We had a huge wave of people coming in, actually 2 waves, this season and last season. And people have been snapping up properties here in Santa Dominica, right, left, and center, which is lovely. However, don't be discouraged, because there are hill towns around here that are gorgeous, and they would love to have you come. Mayera is so beautiful. Grisolia, nice place. Orso Marso, very beautiful. Belvedere Maritimo, that is one of the prettiest central historical hill towns I've seen. So there's tons here still left available. Okay, I hope that helps you. And here in our area, unfortunately, Santa Dominica is pretty much sold out of a lot of properties that I would recommend that you snap up. And I recommended it, and people have snapped them up. However, there are other hill towns in this area that have beautiful properties. So keep watching the channel. We're going to give you more interesting updates on various different things, and I'll see you soon.